So we have a completely empty slide here. As you can see from Very Precision, this is the ported slide by Full Spectrum Labs. It is meant for the Very Precision, if I can get the thing out, ported barrel. Comes nice and oiled up here. So ported barrel. Fit nicely into the slide. Alright, upper parts kit. Got my upper parts kit here. And I actually have a different back plate to put in the back. Hopefully you guys can see that. Very Precision back plate. Just gonna stick that off to the side. And I've got my Glock Gen 3 upper parts kit that will be going on to our items here. So got my sights here, suppressor height sights. So they aren't night sights. Slightly considering if I want to install these. I probably will, but eventually may change that out, so I don't know if I'll really Loctite it down too much, torque it down. Let's see here. Just keep some stuff together. Alright, where is, here it is. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Won't be using that. Alright, perfect. Very nice. So, keep this on the side as well for later. So I've got my upper parts here, and we're gonna get started with assembly. I'll show you guys how to put everything together. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is get a little organized here. Move that out our way. All right. Put our extractor plunger together. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to take this piece here. Okay. Along with, you'll have 2 springs in your set. You'll want to take the bigger spring. Okay, then you'll have a small little plastic piece that comes in your set that looks like this. See how that looks? All right, this piece, and set that aside. All right, everything else just kind of back up for now. All right, so that way you could just focus on these 3 pieces. So hopefully I'm getting a good view for you guys. Just want to pop that on there until you kind of hear a snap. And if I can focus this well enough, you can see how it gets put in there. Okay. Then finally, you'll want to take the loaded bearing, put that in as well. Have that snap in place. Hopefully I can get this on camera for you guys without the gloves being in the way. Might need to take these gloves off. Okay, stick that in. Just let me see here. So now you've got your extractor plunger assembled. All right, now we're gonna move on to the striker assembly. So we're going to need our firing pin spacer sleeve. All right, it's black with a space in it like this. All right, see how that has a groove in it? You're gonna need that piece. You're going to need the firing pin, okay? You're going to need the firing pin spring, which is one of the larger springs, okay? As well as the firing spring caps, and they are 2 identical plastic caps, all right? Give you guys a good idea of how they look. All right, so you're gonna need those items, and let's move on and assemble this. Okay, so let's assemble this. The first step is putting the firing pin sleeve and the firing pin together. You'll notice with the sleeve, you have a end that's a bit more open, okay? Take your firing pin and the sleeve, put the slightly pointy side and the sleeve together like this. Just trying to make sure you guys can clearly see that with this black background. Okay. So again, you have your firing pin sleeve and your firing pin. Have this more open-ended side, and you have this lipped side. All right, take the pointy end into the sleeve, slide this down, and now your firing pin sleeve is on your firing pin. Next, take the firing pin spring, okay? It's the one that's about the length of the sleeve and the pin together. Doesn't matter what end of the spring, and you're going to slide the spring onto the assembly here. Now, this is where everyone has a little bit of their own method, okay? Because we have to put these 2 caps onto this assembly. And let me remove this spring to show you guys. With the spring on, we're gonna compress it until the caps sit in this groove here. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus a little bit better. But if you can see how there is a lip, okay, here separating kind of that shaft, all right, that's where our pieces will sit, okay? So let me put the spring back on. I sometimes use a punch and a block to help me just get it seated here. I put my punch inside. This will be a little bit difficult to capture on the camera exactly. I'll try as best as I can for you guys. May even try without using the punch. But the first action that I will be doing kind of on this punch to help me get some leverage here on the firing pin is compressing this down. Having the punch makes it so I have a free hand to take the caps, all right? And again, we're looking to get them in the groove. That won't focus right now. So let's try to get this together, try to get this on camera for you guys, and we'll go from there. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. Get you guys in here. All right. Okay, see how I did that? Again, the smaller side is going to fit down into the spring, and the upper side is going to fit into the groove. So, see how this is not seated properly right now? all right, because this will focus. Okay, I've got my 2 lips here. Come on. Got them on top of one another. So I'm going to fix this. There it is. It's focusing a bit better now. So see how that's not properly done? I'm just going to down press the spring again and get this so it's lined up. Right? So just give me a second here, guys. There. Okay. So now this is all assembled. See how that's done? All right. Okay. I like that. Perfect. Set that aside and let's move on to the next piece. All right, guys, so we're almost at the point of assembling the slide. The last thing we want to do is put together our firing pin safety. So as you can see with the Severi Precision Kit, you have a hole at the bottom, okay? So this is the firing pin safety, and this small spring is the firing pin safety spring. You're going to take your safety. You have your closed end and open end. You're going to push the spring into that open bottom end and turn it clockwise to seat it in there. All right, there we go. So, again, if you guys think about the slides that you have seen assembled when you're performing your field strip, you're seeing this part at the bottom, not the spring, right? So let's put that in here. Okay, and because there's a spring, you guys can see how I can push that down. I turn it around and you see that through here, right? So the goal, in order to sit the extractor in place, all right, you're going to want to ensure that you are pushing the firing pin safety up and in place, okay? So when we're looking at it, right, it's sitting like this, it's protruding out a little bit. Okay, we can all see that protrusion there, and we can see how there is no groove yet until we push it up. So let me get this a bit better in focus. Push up to expose, right? Push up to expose, okay? So let me go ahead, take my extractor, okay? Get this focus, I'm going to push up. Going to drop that into place here. Still got it pushed, and now I can just let everything go. All right, and that is sitting in its home now. Okay. All right, guys, getting you a little bit more focused here. I don't want to forget to speak about a very overlooked portion, which is this channel liner tool. I've looked down in where the firing pin goes, and I can't see if a liner is already in there. That's our kind of last piece. We have this special tool, and we have this channel liner before we move to assemble a bit more pieces here. So I want to make sure that we go ahead and try to properly seat this channel liner in, okay, before we move on to install the plunger and the striker assembly. So All right, take the tool, typically comes with your upper parts kits. All right, you're gonna slip the channel liner on the only end in which it'll fit. Okay, then go to the back of your slide, and you're gonna put this down in there. And again, it's definitely feeling like there may already be one in here. There we go. There we go. Get that together. And looks like that is all the way in there. At times you could take a you could take it and tap it in there to make sure it's fully in there. There we go. I can tell this is lined up. So let's continue on with our assembly. Okay, outliers, so let's move to the back of the slide. Now that we've got our channel liner in there, let's put this tool out of the way. And let's move to install the plunger that we assembled, okay? So the plunger has two sides, right? It has that side with the loading bearing that we installed and the metal tip, all right? We want to install metal tip first into the smaller hole on the right-hand side in the back of the slide, all right? So very simple, metal tip down in there, boom, okay? Next, let's go ahead and install the striker assembly, all right? So it has a pointy end. You guys should be aware from the diagrams of the firing cycle of your firearm, all right? And with that pointy end first, we're going to insert that down in, okay? Okay, and then we're gonna wanna seat that all the way in, so. All right, so let's take out our slide end cap, okay? I have a gold one to match instead of going with the one that came in the kit. All right, so again, let me grab one of my punches here. All right, and because both of these assemblies in the back have springs, we're just going to press one down at a time in order to get this end cap in. All right. Press the right hand side down first. Should be able to do that with your thumbs or fingers. And you may be able to do the other one with your hand as well, but I typically like to take to allow me to press this in and slide this up, all right? Oh, hopefully I have this on camera for you guys. And this back plate is a little finicky, but hopefully you guys caught that. Oh, what did I not do? I did not put the cover plate on, all right, just because I'm not sure if I want to yet, and I know I want to take a look at a few Trigicon slides. I want to see if the copper or the flat dark earth might look good, or maybe just go with black and have this thing legitimately be two-tone, black and gold. So again, we don't have any magazines, okay, or ammunition in the room. And so, just show you guys there. Looks pretty good. See that Zafiri precision ported slide. All right, it looks good. What's up, guys? Today we're continuing with our Gen 3 Glock 26 build. We're going to be upgrading the frame today. First, we're going to perform a safety check. There is no ammunition in this room, and that is important because we will be installing a magazine extension today, and we'll be working with the frame. So, as you can see, the firearm is clear. There is no magazine and no ammunition in this firearm. I'll go ahead and remove the slide. And you can see the beautiful work that we did yesterday. Really looks great. These very precision ported slides are just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. So we'll set this to the side. Alright, thing is so pretty, just want to keep looking at it. We'll set it to the side. We've got our frame here. And we'll go ahead and bring our bench block onto our mat. So with using the bench block, the first thing I'm going to do is remove the pins. There's a lot out there and available on what order you can do this in and what's best. Some say to go locking block pin, trigger housing pin, and then the trigger pin. Some say to make sure you do this only from this side, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these pins. You shouldn't need a punch or any extra tools, but sometimes you do. Okay, so that comes out right there. Just gonna keep these somewhat there. Okay, next I'm gonna remove the trigger housing pin. Okay. And now finally, I'm gonna remove the trigger pin. That's this big one here. Now, sometimes with the trigger pin, you have to jiggle the slide catch. All right. That's now removed. So now that we have all three pins removed, we're going to proceed to the next step. Something I like to do when I'm working with parts is label everything and have some separation going on. So I have this small tin here, and I just took a regular Ziploc bag. I'm going to So I'm just going to write what I've got, and I want to make sure that I store all of my items here. Okay, now as you saw, the slide catch dropped out already, and that's because, as you guys saw, it is held in with the trigger pin. All right, so since we are upgrading that part, we're going to go ahead and put that in our Ziploc bag as well. Okay. At this time, I'm going to take a flathead to remove the locking block. I'm just going to come in here and push up. And as you see, it doesn't take much force. That comes right out. Since I will be reusing this part, I won't put it in the Ziploc bag. I'll set it on the side of my little set there. Okay. Now at this time, we've got enough removed. We can remove our entire trigger assembly. you'll want to pull up directly on the ejector and remove the trigger assembly. I'm gonna set that to the side so I can zoom in and show you guys how to remove the trigger bar, okay, from the trigger mechanism with the ejector. So you want to twist and lift, okay. Now finally, with the trigger removed, we want to remove the magazine catch, okay. You guys see down inside, this rod here is the magazine catch spring. And we're actually going to use this pick to separate the magazine catch spring from, and let me try to get this on camera for you guys, from the trigger. All right, once you push that over, remove the magazine release from the frame. Okay. Won't be using that, so I'm going to set that in my Ziploc bag. And something to observe is this spring. You don't need to remove it, but you may want to have a set of pliers on hand or something, or a punch to make sure when you're reinstalling or upgrading your magazine that this is fully seated down in there. To take it out, you'll want to use a pair of long pliers to reach in there and lift straight out. So at this time, we have our frame disassembled to the level that we would like. I will now move on to installing the parts. So, let's install our extended mag release first. This is by Tyrant Design CNC. You can go to my Instagram for any affiliate links you may need. And look at that beautiful machining. Okay, that is absolutely gorgeous. So, this will be inserted from the right side of the frame onto the left. I really wish this was a Gen 4 frame since I am left-handed, and it would be nice to face this on this side. However, we're going to use a pick to lift the spring from the magazine, from the frame. All right, and let me try to get a good angle for you guys here while holding everything. All right, but we'll want to separate that. Let me get a better angle here. Okay, here we go, guys. You'll want to insert your magazine release from the right side of the frame. I'm going to face this towards me so I can give you guys a good point of view. All right, you'll want to make sure the small lip where the magazine catch spring is going to be inserted is facing down. I'm going to get this started partially the way through. I'm going to take my pick and lift the magazine slide catch away from the frame. I'm going to push my slide release all the way through and make sure that it is in. Okay. Now I'm going to use my pick again to move the slide magazine catch spring over into this groove so that it could properly be seated back. And guys, this does take a little bit of, if you're a female like me, it takes a little bit of strength. All right. Trying to get that in there. There. Hopefully you guys saw that. So now the spring is back. And looks like we've got good movement. Okay, so now the magazine slide release, which is extended, is now installed. Looks good. All right. Let's now move on to the trigger next. All right, guys, we've got our trigger here. This is the same pad I've been using from the slide install as well. I have a bigger pad underneath it, but I really like this brand by my friends over at Glock Bay. All right, it's just a little fun cleaning mat, bench mat. And I really like the design. I like this brand, so go ahead and hit them up on Instagram. Tell them that your girl Spike sent you. So, got that unboxed. There is a small tool in here to adjust the safety. I'm just going to leave that in for now. And let's get our housing and ejector. So, let's get you guys focused. All right. So the same way we uninstalled this is the way that we will be installing it. All right, I'm just going to take that into position for myself. There's our hole. And let's go ahead and angle this in. Okay, clicks in. Okay, remember to pull this forward. Let's make sure I get you guys in camera here. Twist and connect. All right, now you guys remember this is under a lot of spring tension because this is the motion that it makes. Just want to make sure that's in. Okay. And we can now take our firearm frame. Okay. And the way that I like to install this, I like to make sure the trigger is going through properly. And then you will simply just push down until you hear that click. Right? You see how everything is kind of lined up already when we put the pins back in. All right, so let's go ahead and unbox this slide release from Tired Design CNC. Very nice. I'll make sure I put the affiliate links in the description below as well. But again, feel free to pop on over to my Instagram. All right. So to put the locking block back in place, you'll notice the shape of the locking block is almost like an L. You'll want to have the bigger holes down on the bottom. And put it back the same way it went in. Nothing too special. Just pop that down. All right. Okay. Really excited about this. So let's get our pins out and together as well so we can put the pins back and set everything in place with the frame. All right, now we're here with the reassembly. We need to start to put our pins back in before we can get the slide release on there. So I'm putting in some gold pins. I'm not using the OEM ones. All right, so we'll take those out. You should have 3. Okay, these are from Zafiri Precision. So I'm going to set my trigger pin. This is the larger one. to the side with the magazine release because I will need to install the locking block pin as well as the trigger housing pin first. All right, so I'm going to install my locking block pin first. Give you guys a good view here of what we're doing. And so at all steps, I'd like to just kind of ensure the trigger is lined up with the locking block where I want it. It's just a process that I like to have. Let's see if you guys can see here. Okay, so I like to make sure I have a position in which everything can be lined up. All right. And you really should be able to do this for the most part by hand. Okay, and again, that's just personal preference. I'll go through with a tool and make sure it's all the way in. I'm gonna go ahead now and put this trigger housing pin in the back. Again, I am a stickler for lining everything up. Okay, then you'll go ahead and push that back in as well. Okay, so I've got this started and I still have enough space in between the frame here. I need to pull it out a little bit. And now I've got just enough clearance to push that through. I'm gonna take my slide, release lever, put it there. Now I'm going to flip and ensure that it is fully lined up in this hole. Okay. Guys, this is not complicated. This is me being extremely anal and liking things a certain way. So there we go. I used my bench block as a additional arm as I was finagling this release to get that in there. So now I will just make sure that it is even on both sides. And I will come back to my locking block pin and even that out. Alright. That is about even. Now we have our frame upgraded and assembled. Okay. Should have put a little bit of lubricant on the side there actually, but have that. Things are shaping up. Next, we're going to disassemble the magazine and reassemble it onto the extension. Okay, so last piece of this fun upgrade is our 10-round OEM, where we live, Gen 3 Glock 26 magazine. I label almost all of my magazines so that I can keep things consistent on what goes with where. Makes it easy at the range, and just, again, shows how I like to do things. All right, got the extension here. Let's go ahead and open this guy up. And guys, all of the Tyrant stuff, anything you purchase from their site generally comes with QR codes for installations. They really are a great company, great people, and I absolutely just love the quality of their products as well as the aesthetics. All right, so got that. let's now get to disassembling our OEM magazine. Okay, there is no tool or quite an easy way to do this. All right. So once you've got it this way, Tyron has made it pretty easy. There is a small plunger in the back, and you'll just want to push it forward till the plunger starts to reveal. All right, and then really seat that in place. You'll hear a click and a lock. All right. That looks good. That's on there. Okay. And we can test it out. So guys, we have here some tip and snap caps. These are just dummy bullets. I think everyone should own some of these. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put them in, and of course, bigger gloves snag, but I just want to ensure that this is working, which it is. Let's get our fourth one in so that we can see. Boom. So that's working nice. Let's insert it into our frame. Definitely need to get a mag well now, a plug, but we see our slide catch works good. Go ahead and take those out. Looks good. I think now what I'm gonna do as well is just work it with some of my magazine loaders. That just helps to get the spring nice and, I'll say, warmed up. All right, so we've got that all screwed in place. I am going to put the tool back into the case here. So I like to keep everything together. Whether it's just saving stickers, I save boxes on things like this because it contains all the warranty info and good stuff like that, so I find it useful to keep on my shelf. So now we've got our frame fully assembled with our light on and laser combo. So this thing is absolutely great. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a full reassemble here. Wow. And there we have it. Our fully custom, upgraded Gen 3 Glock 26.